delightful evening to you. Welcome to the world now at 4 on Hills TV. I am Uduak Daniel. First, let's talk the headlines. And on the headlines, Nigeria, Indian exploring new cooperation, says Foreign Minister. Still on the headlines, Togo becomes first country to eliminate 4NTDS. Also on the headlines, Finnish Prime Minister apologizes over misconduct. And on sport, Casemiro completes Manchester United move. And now the news in detail. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Chief Godfrey Onyema, says Nigeria and India are exploring new areas of cooperation to strengthen the already strong and cordial bilateral ties between both countries. Onyema made this known when he received India's Minister of State of External Affairs, Shri V. Muralidharan, and the minister on Monday. While briefing newsmen after a closed-door meeting, Onyema noted that Muralidharan, who was in Nigeria to attend the inauguration of the Nigeria-India Business Council, that is the NIBC, shows how much importance Nigeria is to India. He added that Nigeria also aspires to learn from India's wealth of knowledge in the areas of information, communication, and technology. Also speaking, Muralidharan said that India and Nigeria have excellent relations at the bilateral level, which he is optimistic would continue to thrive. In a related development, the Nigerian Minister of Defense Bashir Magashi has called for quick action towards implementing bilateral military agreements between Nigeria and India. General Magashi made this call when the Indian Minister of State for External Affairs and Parliamentary Affairs, Shri Muralidharan, paid him a courtesy call at the Ministry of Defense headquarters in Abuja, Nigeria's capital. He said improved collaboration to support the armed forces of Nigeria in the areas of equipment in aid of the current fight against banditry, terrorism and piracy in the nation's territorial waters are needed. While appreciating the visit of the Indian delegation, the defense minister said he values military capacity building programs, trainings and intelligence sharing between the two countries. The Indian minister Muralidharan, who led 8-man delegation on the courtesy call, appreciated the defense minister for oiling the wheel of progress of the age-long military bilateral partnership between the two countries, which he said dates back to 1958, 2 years before Nigeria got her independence. The indigenous people of Biafra, that is the IPOB, said on Tuesday that it has no camp in Enugu Ezike Igboeze North Local Government Council, Enugu State. It stated that those terrorizing the area are neither IPOB volunteers nor members of the Eastern Security Network, that is the ESN operatives. IPOB spokesman Emma Powerful stated that those terrorizing the area were not members of the group, adding that the global family and movement of the indigenous people of Biafra, that is the IPOB, led by the great leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which wished to reiterate once again to the general public, especially the people of Enugu Ezike, that those in their community and other parts terrorizing them are not IPOB volunteers or ESN operatives. Following an increase in banditry, kidnapping and killings, a development linked to the activities of the ESN, the Enugu State government last month imposed a curfew in the area and drafted more security to contain the surge. Still talking the world now at 4, no fewer than 3,000 civilians are to be trained to augment security and tackle crimes in Katsina State. Governor Aminu Masari's special advisor on security matters, Ahmad Katsina, confirmed the development to newsmen on Tuesday. He added that another batch of 600 personnel would be trained and deployed anytime from now. According to Masari, the arrangement is part of a 3-tier security network under the State Community Security Network, which also involves traditional rulers and security officials in the state. He added that the activities of the personnel were being coordinated by his office. According to reports, 500 personnel had already been trained by the mobile police unit of the Nigeria Police Force and had been deployed to frontline local government areas in the state. These frontline councils have a history of frequent terrorist attacks. When we return, news from other parts of Africa. Don't go away. Pleased to have you back. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Talking matters concerning the other parts of Africa. World Health Organization has confirmed Togo as the first country to eliminate 4 neglected tropical diseases globally. The WHO made this known during its Regional Committee for Africa meeting held in Lomé on Monday. In a statement made available to newsmen by the Uniting to Combat Neglected Tropical Diseases and signed by its associate consultant, Kingsley Ochieng, it noted that as the first country acknowledged by WHO as having won its fight against 4 NTDs, Togo eliminated all 4 diseases in just 11 years. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus noted that the elimination of dracunculiasis, lymphatic filariasis, human African trypanosomiasis, and trachoma is an outstanding achievement and a gift not only for the people of Togo today, but for generations to come. According to reports, between 2011 and 2022, Togo has successfully eliminated dracunculiasis, guinea worm that is the disease, elephantiasis, lymphatic filariasis, human African trypanosomiasis, sleeping sickness, and trachoma. NTDs are a group of 20 preventable and treatable diseases, but 1.7 billion people worldwide will require NTD interventions. Many NTDs debilitate this figure and disable by preventing children from going to school and adults from being able to work. Away from that story, the death toll from flash floods in Sudan has so far claimed 83 lives, an official said Tuesday, as the downpours continue to inundate villages across the East African nation. According to a spokesperson for Sudan's National Council for Civil Defense, Brigadier General Abdul Jalil Abdul Rahim, at least 36 people have been injured since May. According to the United Nations, that is the UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, that is the OCHA, more than 146,200 people have been affected by floods. Footage aired by local media shows rising waters submerging villages, adding that the Western Darfur region and the provinces of Nile River, White Nile, Kordofan are among the hardest hit. More than 18,200 houses have been completely destroyed across the country, while around at least 25,600 were partly damaged. Authorities have declared a state of emergency in 6 of the country's 18 provinces. We now move to other parts of the world after this break. Don't go away. Always a delight to have you back. This is The World Now at 4 on Hills TV. Anthony Fauci, the top U.S. infectious disease control official who became the face of America's COVID-19 pandemic response under President Donald Trump and Joe Biden, has announced that he is stepping down in December after 54 years of public service. Fauci, whose efforts to fight the pandemic were applauded by many public health experts, even as he was vilified by Trump and many Republicans, will leave his posts as chief medical advisor to Biden and director of the U.S. National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, that is the NIAID, part of the National Institutes of Health, that is the NIH. Fauci, 81, has headed NIAID since 1984. The veteran immunologist has served as an advisor to 7 U.S. presidents, beginning with Republican Ronald Reagan, focusing on newly emerging and re-emerging infectious disease dangers, including HIV/AIDS, Ebola, Zika, monkeypox, and COVID-19. Fauci endured criticism from Trump and various conservatives and even death threats against him and his family from people who objected to safeguards such as vaccination, social distancing, and masking that he advocated, trying to limit the lethality of the COVID-19 pandemic. After defeating Trump in the 2020 election, Biden made Fauci his chief medical advisor. Fauci said he never considered resigning due to the threats against him.
I don't know how long that will be, but certainly just because one announces next month, next year, or whatever that you're going to step down, the threats don't necessarily stop, and there are a lot of them.
Supporters of the Iraqi Shia religious leader Muqtada al-Sadr on Tuesday rallied in front of the country's Supreme Judicial Council, expanding a sit-in that initially began in front of the Parliament building and escalating their calls for Parliament to be dissolved. The locations, both in Baghdad's heavily fortified Green Zone, a legacy of Iraq's American occupation, where government buildings and embassies are found, are now at the center of a political storm in the country. In response, the Supreme Judicial Council, along with Federal Supreme Court, said that they had received threats and have suspended court sessions. According to reports, al-Sadr warned last Wednesday that he was given the judiciary a week to dissolve Parliament, but the Supreme Judicial Council has stated that it does not have the authority to do so. Supporters of the Shia religious leader, who has been a growing force in the Iraqi politics over the last decade, emerged as the biggest party in Parliament after elections in October. And now to finish, Prime Minister Sanaa Marin on Tuesday apologized for a picture that emerged from a private party she had thrown at her official residence in July following a public stir over her partying in the past week. According to Marin, the images were taken at her Kasaranta residence on Sunday after the Rock Music Festival in July. Speaking to reporters following a speech at the annual meeting in Helsinki of Finland's heads of missions abroad, Marin explained that she invited some friends over to Kasaranta after the festival to sauna, swim, and spend time together. The contest was widely shared on social media on Tuesday morning and afternoon. She further added that the image was snapped during a private event at the residence, emphasizing that there has been no threat to Finnish national security as a result of her social activities. And now let's get to business and have you know that some women in Bwari Area Council of the FCT have explained and complained of the rise in the cost of firewood and charcoal, attributing it to the hike in price of cooking gas. The women, who spoke with newsmen on Monday in different communities in the council, have stated and demanded for the product had increased, and so had the prices. According to Phoebe Ishaku, a resident of Piawe community, a mother of four, said she used firewood and sometimes a charcoal fuel stove to cook, but could not get an alternative due to the hike in prices of all cooking fuels. Phoebe added that firewood and charcoal were a cheaper means of cooking and more accessible compared with kerosene and cooking gas, but the hike in price had made them difficult to access. She urged the government to help women cope with the situation by making cooking fuel affordable. Also reacting, Hannah Dangana, a supplier of charcoal in the area, told reporters that the situation was not different in most households in the community. She said that Nigerians were turning to the use of firewood and charcoal for cooking due to the hike in price of cooking gas. The World Bank on Monday gave $300 million to Mozambique in a deal that marks the resumption of its support to the country 6 years after it suspended aid following a financial scandal involving the government. Mozambique's Finance Minister Max Tonella disclosed that the funds disbursed by the multilateral organization in the form of a grant will be used for infrastructure projects to support the economy and improve the living conditions of the population. The resumption of the World Bank aid comes after the International Monetary Fund, that is the IMF, granted its first loan to Mozambique worth $456 million in May, since the so-called hidden debt scandal. And now let's get on to Germany and have you know the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his deputies, Economic Affairs and Climate Action Minister Robert Habeck, had kicked off a 3-day trip to Canada to arrange short-term gas-based energy solutions and to explore longer-term, cleaner options such as green hydrogen. In a press conference in Montreal, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau hailed his German counterpart Scholz as an extremely important progressive voice, and also expressed optimism about mutually beneficial business investments and cooperation defending the Ukraine from Russian aggression. Scholz and his spot had this to say.
Cooperation between Canada and Germany in all the questions that are related to the future. So both the countries have the idea of becoming successfully fighting against climate change. And so there's a lot of economic and technological cooperation which benefits the two countries because our industries, our business sectors and our political representatives are working together to make this happen. And when we now see that there is this Russian aggression against Ukraine and in the end to the rest of the world, it is absolutely necessary that we accelerate these processes.
Trudeau promoted his plans to make Canada a net zero economy in terms of carbon emissions as well as a major global energy supplier. The focus of the negotiations with Germany will lie on the supply of liquefied natural gas, that is the LNG, and green hydrogen amid Berlin's attempts to lessen its dependence on Russia as a supplier of gas. Still to come on The World Now at 4 is sports. Don't go away.
Good evening and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. On the news, President Muhammadu Buhari has received the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Dari's led 10-year Football Development Master Plan Committee. President Buhari received the reports from Dari and the chairman of the committee, Alhaji Ibrahim Galadima, and his members at the Aso Rock Villa on Tuesday, August 23. The Presidential Committee on 10-year Football Master Plan was inaugurated by the Sports Minister on the 21st of November 2021 to lay the foundation for the development of Nigeria's football. Galadima and his committee members had a month ago submitted 2-volume reports to the Sports Minister, who assured that the reports will be delivered to President Muhammadu Buhari, who will direct a white paper upon which the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development and the Nigerian Football Federation will drive the implementation in phases. Dari, who clocked 3 years as Sports Minister on Sunday, did assure the committee and indeed Nigerians that the report will not be one of those reports that will be allowed to gather dust in sub-offices or bookshelf without implementation. So interesting, the sport minister Sunday clocked 3 years on a Sunday. Still on sports. Now to the English Premier League, where Manchester United had to dig deep for their 2-1 victory over rivals Liverpool after the pressure was on following their poor start to the season. Manchester United winger Jadon Sancho set the tone early with a goal that saw United take the lead in the first half. The United forward calmly struck his efforts past Alisson as United flustered Liverpool. Meanwhile, the Reds picked up the pace in an attempt to find an equalizer as the first half came to a close, but United weathered the storm and doubled their lead through Marcus Rashford fewer than 10 minutes into the second half. Jurgen Klopp's men pulled one back through Mohamed Salah with a neat finish at the back post to set up a nervy end to the match, but United managed to hold on and secure their first win of the season. Liverpool has failed to win any of their three opening games for only the 4th time in their history. They will look to put that to an end as they host Bournemouth on Saturday, beg your pardon. United take the trip down south for the early kick-off at the weekend against Southampton as coach Erik ten Hag praised his young players.
Man United stands for winning, and we didn't do that in the first 2 games, and that had certain reasons, but Man United is not for excuses. We have to win, and that standard we have to bring on the pitch every game, and that is a way of life. So it starts in training, it starts every day, and today we showed when we have that spirit, when we act as a team, then we can achieve.
Meanwhile, Real Madrid midfielder Carlos Casemiro has officially completed his transfer to Manchester United. According to an official statement on the United official website, the midfielder has signed a contract until June 2026 with an option to extend for a further year. Meanwhile, Manchester United football director John Mothoff has described Casemiro as a serial winner and one of the best midfielders in the world football, saying his exceptional record speaks for itself. Casemiro has played over 550 professional games, including 63 for his country. The Brazil international has won 22 major honors in his peak football career, including 5 UEFA Champions League titles and the Copa America. The new United signing described this move as an opportunity to start a new challenge at Old Trafford. Just as I said, the Premier League is extremely exciting to be involved. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Udwak Daniel for the rest of the news. I'm Richard Badung.
Welcome back. Thank you so much, plus Richard Badung, for that one. And that's how we call it a close on the World Now at 4. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories. We told you earlier on the headlines, Nigeria, India exploring new cooperation, says Foreign Minister. We brought to the fore the fact that Togo becomes first country to eliminate 4 NTDs. Early on, we brought to you Finnish Prime Minister apologizes over misconduct. And on sport, Casemiro completes Manchester United move. Remember to visit us on Facebook at Hales TV, Instagram at Hales TV. Our YouTube channel is at Hales TV. I am Udwak Daniel. Thank you for watching.